Hi, I'm Mark DeYmaz, pastor of the Mosaix Church of Central Arkansas and president of Mosaix Global Network. I want to welcome you to this series of videos that introduce you different topics from theology to core commitments, best practices, challenges, and ultimately to disruption. A series of videos designed to aid you in the coaching process. That is, aid you, not aid you, but aid you in the coaching process as part of the Mosaix family. We're so thankful to be able to help you, that you've chosen to work with us in terms of a coaching. I hope you enjoy your coach, experience great things in and through that relationship. And again, these videos are designed to supplement your coaching by giving to you some basic understanding about this concept of planting, growing, or developing healthy multi-ethnic churches. Snippets of information, again, of theology, best practices, core commitments that you can interact with together with your coach, and that will aid ultimately in the coaching process. So in this first video, what I want to briefly do in the next several minutes is provide for you a basic introduction. And by the way, in and through this part of the coaching, that is these videos, it's my desire not only to share or download, so to speak, information, but more importantly, help you articulate what you already see, what you already know, what you feel, and ultimately to help you articulate this in order to draw others to the very vision, the very church it is you're seeking to grow. So with that in mind, let me just share with you a basic introduction that I use to draw people to this vision, to capture their attention, as it were. And it begins with helping them understand the prayer of Christ, what we commonly call the Our Father. So we know that Christ taught us to pray, right? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. But let me ask you a question. If the kingdom of heaven is not segregated, then why on earth is the local church? At the turn of the century, some 92.5% of churches throughout this country failed to have at least 20% diversity in their attending membership. By 2010, that percentage had decreased to 86.3%. But nevertheless, churches remain 10 times more segregated than the neighborhoods they're in, and 20 times more segregated than nearby public schools. Surely it breaks the heart of God that so many churches throughout this country are segregated by race and class and culture, and that little has changed in the more than 100 years now since it was first observed that 11 o'clock on Sunday morning is the most segregated hour of the week. It should not be so. But more than bemoaning this from an emotional standpoint, I want people to understand, and you should too, that the systemic segregation of the local church is unintentionally undermining the very credibility of the gospel we preach. For instance, my good friend Dave Olson from the Evangelical Covenant Church, in a study of more than 200,000 churches, found that between 1990 and 2009, at a time in American history when more than 56 million people became citizens through birth or legal immigration, just 446,540 people became active members of a local church. That's less than 1%. No one, in my opinion, is listening. And I contend the primary reason we are failing to reach this culture and emerging generations with the gospel is because we preach it from otherwise systemically segregated pulpits and pews. And this undermines the credibility of the gospel witness. The fact is, the New Testament church was multi-ethnic. It was envisioned by Christ on the night before he died, John chapter 17, described in action at a place called Antioch, Acts chapter 11, by the writer Luke, and ultimately prescribed by the Apostle Paul throughout his writings, but particularly we see this in the book of Ephesians and in Romans, and then of course 1 Corinthians, Galatians, Philippians, and others of his writings. In other words, the New Testament church was multi-ethnic. It was a place in which diverse men and women willed themselves to walk, to work, to worship God together as one. And this, more than anything, provided the power, the credibility, and propelled the gospel forward in the first century. It's what will do so again today. Having said that, it's important to understand that I'm not out promoting or even pursuing here in Little Rock, as I have for the past 20 years, the development of healthy multi-ethnic churches merely because, for instance, Barack Obama is biracial and somehow represents the changing face of America. Changing demographics that tell us today that 1 in 2 young people under the age of 18 are non-white, or that 43% of millennials are non-white, the largest, most diverse generation in American history, or even because of by 2042 we're told 1 in 2 people in this country will not be white. Changing demographics, the future of America, is certainly important, provides us the fertile ground to develop this concept, and of course to advance a credible witness. But having said that, that's not why I'm pursuing or promoting this vision, and certainly not because the late Rodney King once asked us all to get along. Rather, I'm pursuing and promoting this vision because it's biblical, it's right, and it is the hope of the gospel, that is, of advancing a credible gospel in an increasingly diverse, cynical, and painfully polarized 21st century society. You know, perhaps no one said it better than Chris Rice in the book More Than Equals, and published in 1999, when he said this, and I believe this is true, and this is what I'm passionate about, and I hope you'll gain that similar passion. Maybe you already have. It'll be inspired, fan the flames up through the coaching, but here's what he said. It really sums up what we believe, and that is this. He said, I have become convinced that God is not very interested in using the church to heal the race problems in this country, but rather, I believe it is more true in the future that God will use race to heal the church. I've seen that happening over the past 15 to 18 years, now 20 or 25, some of my colleagues. I believe it's the future, and I'm so thankful you've signed up for this coaching experience. We want to help you. If you have any further questions, of course, interact, and I expect you to interact around this video with your coach. But products and services beyond that we can help you with, please contact us at mosaix.info. We'll be glad to serve you. God bless. I look forward to the journey, the continuing journey together with you.